Tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
Free Palestine!
Protest for Palestine. How student groups from SJP to Fossil Free NU spread their messages on Admitted Students Day.
Kickoff on the lakefront. Plans to build a temporary football stadium on campus for the next 2 seasons are officially in the works.
And pandemics through performance. How the Wirtz Center's latest show explores the past and present with notes of nature, grief, and healing.
All that and more tonight on the Northwestern News Report.
It's your news
right now.
Good evening and welcome to the Northwestern News Report. I'm Lance Wilhelm.
And I'm Lena Peterson. We begin tonight with campus activists protesting during yesterday's Admitted Students Day to tell the class of 2028 their issues with the university. NNN's Allison Miller was there.
Where does all the money go?
Where does all the money go?
Northwestern Students for Justice in Palestine, Students Organizing for Labor Rights, and other organizations gathered at the Rock for a combined rally on Monday.
In media, maybe Palestinian issues, labor issues, environmental issues are treated very distinctly. I think part of the goal of the event today was to prove that these are all interconnected.
The groups aim to spread their messages to admitted students during the last of Northwestern's Wildcat Days.
If we can actually mobilize those admitted students to say hey, actually I care about this and this is going to be a part of my decision when I'm figuring out where to go, that makes a big impact.
The organizations distributed flyers asking admitted students to email university officials. They provided pre-scripted messages with complaints about the university's endowment's investments and treatment of campus workers.
I think it's just really great to see that students value holding this university accountable and using their agency as students to take action.
Free Palestine!
The flyers claimed that Northwestern is supporting a genocide in Israel by developing, quote, partnerships with academic institutions that enable AI-powered apartheid, end quote, and that Jewish students are funneled into a, quote, Zionist Hillel. But students at Northwestern Hillel deny this.
It's important to let them know that Hillel is more than just any kind of propaganda that's put out about us.
Also taking part in the rally was Jewish Voices for Peace, a group that is, quote, demanding a permanent ceasefire in Palestine.
JVP has kind of realized that there's a gap in creating that kind of welcoming environment specifically for Jewish students. And so it's really exciting to see that they are active and that they're doing things and they were able to collaborate with us.
But Hillel says they welcome all students from a wide range of backgrounds and political perspectives.
Hillel is an inclusive and diverse community, no matter what others say about us.
Allison Miller, Northwestern News Network.
Allison. NNN did reach out to the university for comment on yesterday's rally. A spokesperson tells us, quote, the university fully supports our community's right to peaceful protest. Northwestern did not respond to the specific allegation that the university supports genocide.
Federal Student Aid Form, otherwise known as FAFSA, experienced major modifications this year, causing delays for students awaiting financial aid information. NNN's Alicia Tang investigates how both admitted and enrolled students have dealt with these delays.
Joseph Miller is a current senior at Oakdale High School in Maryland. For him and millions of other students across the U.S., financial aid was a critical factor in choosing where to attend college.
I'm from a middle-class family. You could afford a four-year university, but it would really put a lot of financial stress on your family.
This decision is becoming more difficult, with FAFSA revamps causing delays and technical difficulties.
The site started glitching. I couldn't continue adding my schools or making edits to my schools.
FAFSA, used to calculate financial aid, normally opens on October 1st. This year, it wasn't widely available until January, giving students weighing aid packages less time to decide where to enroll.
Just having that uncertainty of not knowing whether I was going to be going 12 hours away from home or 15 minutes away from home was definitely something that was really stressful.
In light of the delays, hundreds of colleges have postponed their enrollment deadlines. Northwestern has not. They are one of more than 300 institutions allowing newly admitted students to submit a college scholarship service profile in addition to the FAFSA, the CSS allowing Northwestern to stay on track with aid offers.
Information to our incoming students has not been delayed. Information to our returning students has been delayed. That's where we've been impacted.
Upwards of 17 million students submit the FAFSA each year. This year, as of April 8th, only about 7 million students have submitted it.
We will be fine here, and we will get through the work without too much trouble, but I say that without having, even today, we don't have the same number of applications we would have had in the past.
Amid these challenges, students like Joseph are hoping for more communication and flexibility from colleges.
And Alicia is here in the studio with us now. Alicia, what is the college scholarship service and how is that coming to play this year with all the FAFSA delays?
Yeah, so Lance, over 300 colleges, mostly those that are private or have greater endowments, will require that newly admitted student to submit the CSS profile. This profile is the reason why Northwestern has been able to give out financial aid estimates on time this year, even without the FAFSA. That being said, not all students can or will fill out the CSS, so it was mostly students that go to schools without institutional aid and returning students that were really caught in the lurch this year with the delays. Now, the Department of Education has said that they are trying to fix these issues with all hands on deck and that there is no greater priority for them right now than fixing the form.
Right, and thanks, Alicia. Department of Education Secretary Miguel Cardona testified at a congressional hearing last Wednesday that there is nothing more important right now than fixing FAFSA complications. In the meantime, Northwestern Financial Aid is reaching out to students and encouraging them to submit their FAFSAs.
Northwestern football will be relocating Lakeside for the next 2 years. With Ryan Field under construction, NNN's Logan Schijano has more on what Wildcat fans can expect.
We're really excited.
Well, it's happening. After weeks of anticipation, Northwestern said on Wednesday it will play most home football games on the lakefront during the next 2 seasons.
Being here for 6 years, I've always thought man, it'd be cool to play out there. Just thinking, just not realistically, but now that it's pretty realistic, it's kind of crazy.
With no place to play during the construction of Ryan Field, Northwestern was and still is in conversation with other nearby stadiums. But according to last week's announcement, building a temporary structure around Martin Stadium was, quote, the best option.
I think back to when College Game Day was here. Where did they shoot College Game Day from? They shot it from the lakefront. And campus is buzzing and there's people walking, and whether they're coming to the game or they're not, there's just an energy on campus.
Well, there's only about 3,000 seats right now. Northwestern plans to build up to 15,000. You can see the university's vision for the structure in this plan obtained by NNN. And while it's unclear how NU will deal with parking and traffic on game days,
pretty much every single undergraduate student can walk to Martin Stadium from their place of residence.
Now it's true, the weather here by the lake can be unpredictable, but playing at Martin Stadium should make things less stressful for coaches and players who were anticipating significant travel on game days over the next few seasons.
Having consistency is also going to be super huge in terms of game day ritual and using the facility, Walter Athletic Center.
The plan is for the temporary structure to stay up until the end of the 2025 football season, meaning it will be used for soccer and lacrosse games this spring. Northwestern Field Hockey will continue to play games at neighboring Lakeside Field. Logan Schijano, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Logan. Northwestern's plan still requires approval by the Evanston Land Use Committee and City Council.
If during library is your favorite place to study, well, you'll have to go somewhere else next year. Northwestern's oldest library is set to be renovated next school year, with construction set to finish in September 2025. The Martin Reading Room, third floor lobby, and room 208 will get updated decor. An elevator will also be added. Additional seating space will be added to main library to make up for the loss of Deering. Library officials hope to utilize less used locations like periodicals.
Up next, talk about a match made in heaven. Discover how Northwestern's Garage helps student startups build their teams.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, piano.
The city of Chicago has been assisting almost 40,000 migrants sent from Texas. Now Evanston might offer help. NNN's Paris Franzway spoke to supporters of a proposed temporary shelter.
Thanks to a Cook County grant, Evanston could soon be home to a temporary migrant shelter, supporting Chicago's efforts as a sanctuary city.
We should not be surprised after years of this kind of busing if 75 people show up in the middle of Town Square.
The city council is discussing whether to apply for up to $20 million to fund the project. But some feel Evanston should invest more in their current residents.
And it's a total slap in the face to people who have been paying taxes in this community all these years, but never have access to any kinds of assistance.
Advocates say that Evanston can help community members and migrants in need.
We need to tackle affordable housing. We need to tackle transportation equity and better schools. We can do both. This is a chance for us to actually live our values both with new arrivals and continue to invest in the community with long-term residents.
While grant money could be applied towards rent assistance, it might not match migrants' needs.
A few months of rent assistance is not necessarily going to give people the grounding that they need to succeed here.
Others are worried that this potential shelter location at 1020 Church Street is too close to the proposed Evanston Northlight Theater, which is projected to be a big boost to the Evanston economy.
I'm afraid that if we put a shelter right next door to it, we put in a blanket over that North Star.
Supporters of a temporary shelter urge residents to look past harmful stereotypes about migrants when making an opinion.
Go talk to them, go to your local shelter, go to the church that you know is helping them out, meet them.
Further discussions on the grant could occur before applications are due later this week. Paris Franzway, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Paris. The Civic Center and a vacant office building are proposed shelter locations, but both would require significant renovations.
Evanston residents of all ages had the opportunity to participate in a conversation about the environment and racism. NNN's Rachel Spears reports on the discussion.
The Fleetwood Jourdain Community Center hosted a speaker and panel event on Saturday, which discussed issues of environmental injustice while promoting Black and brown voices.
Race has always been challenging for us to have a conversation. We just got to start having that conversation. Period.
After a welcome from North Shore Evanston NAACP President Michael DeBoers, keynote speaker Cheryl Johnson talked about challenges faced by Black and brown people fighting for clean and safe spaces to live. Cheryl Johnson began advocating for a community at a young age and emphasized the role of the next generation in the fight for survival and commonality.
We have to inspire future leaders in this whole environmental movement.
Kate Ott is the director of the Stead Center, which provides teaching and research on ethics and values at Garrett Evangelical Theological Seminary. She emphasized the importance of unity within the Evanston community.
Those of us who are professors at Garrett and run our centers have noticed that there can be a pretty big divide between the Evanston community movements and what's happening on our campuses.
Andrew Weimer is the head of the NAACP's committee that focuses on the environment. He said that this type of event helps to further discussion and understanding of the harm caused by environmental racism.
So this event is important because it
gets us talking in very public and visible ways, and helps move that conversation along and keep it going, so that maybe we can keep making change.
Finding community through conversation, Rachel Spears, Northwestern News Network.
For more information about upcoming conversations like that one, follow Garnett Seminary on Instagram or go to evanstonnAACP.org.
It's now time for Under the Microscope, where we give you the latest in NU science news. A Northwestern-led team has confirmed the cause of the brightest gamma ray burst ever recorded, which occurred in October 2022. Research published last week cited the collapse and subsequent explosion of a massive star as the culprit. The supernova was discovered using NASA's James Webb Space Telescope. But with one mystery solved, another one deepens. Researchers expected to find evidence of heavy elements, such as platinum and gold, within the supernova. Yet, no traces were found.
McCormick professor James Rondinelli revealed a class of metals that challenges the status quo of how materials behave, opening a realm into quantum strangeness. In his study, which seeks to answer how to unite incompatible properties in a single material, he discovers a new oxide compound. This compound blurs the distinction between metals, polar materials, and magnets. Rondinelli's paper challenges the fundamental understanding of what interactions give rise to material properties, opening the door for a new line of research.
Northwestern engineering and chemistry researchers joined an international team in setting a new world record for power conversion efficiency, or PCE, of single-junction perovskite solar cells. These solar cells have the potential to generate solar energy at a lower cost than today's industry standard silicon cells and contribute to the decarbonization of the electricity supply. The researchers' work resulted in a cell with a PCE of 26.15%, compared to the prior record was 25.73%. That's all for this week's look under the microscope.
Northwestern's Base for Student Entrepreneurs has begun its startup matchmaking program. NNN's Kennedy French takes us to the garage.
Every $1 million idea starts in a garage. At Northwestern, that garage is a little different.
The garage is the home for student entrepreneurship at Northwestern. So we're a physical space, a community of a network of resources for any student who's interested in entrepreneurship and startups.
Earlier this month, student-founded startups recruited new members through the Garage Startup Matchmaking program.
So Startup Matchmaking is student-founded teams that are recruiting students to join their team.
The program began in 2015 in response to a high demand for help needed within new student startups. Matchmaking occurs every quarter over Zoom.
Originally it was in person, and it was a way for existing startup teams at the garage who are looking for new students to join to pitch what they're working on, what type of help they're looking for, and connect with those students.
Victoria Israel is the co-founder of the startup Hapti, which participated in the matchmaking program to find more helpful hands.
I had the idea for Hapti during my summer of freshman year. It was like at 4 a.m. when I watched the video about VR and haptics, and I decided that we needed to transform communication from 2D, which is visuals and sound, to 3D, incorporating touch.
The garage gives resources and tools to students, helping get their startups on their feet.
In general, the garage has just given us every resource that we've needed so far to create our startup. It would not have been possible to have and create a startup as a student at Northwestern without the garage's help. Startup Matchmaking provided us with the people that we needed to achieve these tasks.
The matchmaking program has been successful, with participation numbers growing every year.
Last fall, we had more, I think 35 teams pitching and over 300 students attending, looking to join one of those teams.
The program providing young entrepreneurs with chances to seize opportunities and take risks to get their ideas out into the world.
For any students considering joining the startup matchmaking process, I would just say do it.
At the garage, Kennedy French, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Kennedy. Students can get involved with startups at the garage by visiting their website at thegarage.northwestern.edu. Coming up after the break, enjoying the rising temperatures? Don't miss out on how to secure your ticket to get an Evanston Beach Pass.
I'm Kelly McEvers, founding host of the NPR podcast Embedded.
I'm James Edwards, host of the Unresolved podcast from Frontline.
I'm Antonia Cereijido, former senior producer of Anything for Selena podcast and current executive producer at Elias Studios.
My narrative, since I've been locked up and kind of made my transition, has been like redemption, accountability.
When I come into the classroom environment, every individual that sits amongst me takes education seriously.
As students begin to enjoy the rising temperatures, and Giovanni Contreras has everything students need to know about this year's beach passes.
When lifeguards go back on duty on May 25th, beachgoers will need a pass or daily ticket for access to Evanston's public swimming beaches. As of April 15th, students and Evanston residents are able to pick up this year's beach pass free of charge. Students without a beach pass can pay for a daily ticket at the door, but Evanston's lakefront manager Tim Carter says,
"Why pay for something if it's free?"
Carter, an avid beachgoer himself, encourages every Northwestern student to register for a season beach pass. All you need is your student ID.
So there are several locations you can obtain your beach pass. First and foremost, this is probably the closest building, Chandler Neuberger, to campus. Otherwise, any community center in Evanston you can get your beach pass from.
Now that the weather is warming back up, student groups like NU's Outdoor Volleyball Association are resuming play at Evanston's South Beach.
The city puts up 6 nets closer to Memorial Day. We have our own, but you'll see like in the spring, you'll see, 40 people out here, and we have a big tournament in the spring as well. We just love having a good time.
For president of the Outdoor Volleyball Association, Connor Smith, the season's beach pass is essential for setting up the club's games.
I think the beach is supposed to be a relaxing thing. Like, I don't want to have to pull out my debit card or something to pay. I just want to be able to walk through and just start playing.
Whether it's a swim in Lake Michigan or a game of volleyball by the shore, Evanston's beaches have something for everyone. Giovanni Contreras, Northwestern News Network.
You can find more information on getting your beach pass at the City of Evanston Beach Admissions website. Well, this past weekend was perfect beach weather.
And it was lovely, but the sun might be hiding for a bit as it looks like April showers are here to stay. Here's NNN's Kendall Wright because he has your forecast. Kendall.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Lance. Well, the Chicagoland area is going to have another week with temperature highs from the low 50s to high 60s. Here's what next week's forecast looks like for you. Later tonight, we'll see some showers to cap off a day that's been relatively cloudy throughout. However, the temperature is favorable with a high of 65 degrees. Tomorrow will be slightly warmer with a high of 68, with potential showers in the morning. Expect trees to be smothered in hammocks along the Lakefield come mid to late afternoon. But be sure to get home tomorrow evening to catch the Chicago Bulls versus Atlanta Hawks game in the playing game of the NBA. Thursday, we hit a high of 60 degrees to go along with cloudy skies. So wear a light windbreaker or my usual go-to, a dapper fleece and vest. The school week ends with a cloudy day once again, but no precipitation in sight. So go for a jog or catch the Marlins versus Cubs game right down in Wrigleyville. Friday will have a high of 58 and a low of 44. Moving on to this weekend, Saturday has more cloudy skies with a high of 54 and a low of 39. And for Sunday, expect sunshine throughout the day with a high of 53 and a low of 38. Well, that's all the time we have now for the weather. I'm Kendall Wright. Back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Kendall.
Passover starts next Monday, and the Jewish community is getting ready. The holiday celebrates the exodus of the Jews from Egypt to Israel. Hillel is hosting seders, events, and meals.
I love being with my friends and having what I call the Hillel dining hall, which is awesome, getting to see everyone and just eat kosher for Passover food.
Hillel offers these kosher for Passover meals that avoid grain, which Jews are not supposed to eat during the holiday. They also have a variety of events planned, from movie nights to matzah pizza. Hillel is hosting seders on the first 2 nights of Passover, next Monday and Tuesday.
Get ready to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature. We've got a preview of Wirtz's newest show. Don't go anywhere.
My relationship with Giannis is unique. We're from the same country, we're from the same city. Being a Northwestern alum, I think, has tremendous advantages in the sports industry. To me, that community, it's been with me for 20 plus years.
Ready, set, go!
New show opens at the Wirtz Center this weekend with themes of nature, healing, and grief. And Anand's Kanjal Bastola takes us behind the scenes.
The Wirtz Center's latest production, How to Know the Wildflowers, a Map, opens this weekend with cast and crew preparing for the upcoming show. The show follows two storylines.
The first is me and my two friends are on the search for the perfect spot to bury my grandfather's ashes.
The second, where the play gets its title from, is based off of Frances Theodora Parsons, who wrote the first field guide to wildflowers.
Her husband died in the pandemic of 1890, and she's coping through her grief and ended up writing this book.
Both plot lines, while occurring in the same space at different time periods, deal with a pandemic. In the past, the one of 1890, and in the present, COVID-19.
We are letting the audience come in and, have fun and enjoy the beauty of the flowers while also letting themselves grieve the part of themselves that they lost in the pandemic.
Esteban Villacorta, who plays the role of Michael, draws parallels between the play and his own life.
I also lost my grandmother during the pandemic, and that story really resonates with me.
Working as a research assistant for co-writer Julie Marie Myatt, Anne Sophie Lacombe Garcia offers insight into some of the messaging behind the play.
Maybe if we know the names of the flowers, we'll be willing to take care of them.
Intertwining music, dance, and nature. How to Know the Wildflowers, a Map, takes the stage this Friday. Kunzal Basola, Northwestern News Network.
Thanks, Kanjal. For more information on the show and to purchase tickets, visit wirtz.northwestern.edu. Now, Lena, I'm not sure if you knew this about me, but I actually am a former theater kid.
Well, you're telling the right person because I actually am too, but this is a safe space for us.
I think it definitely is because there seem to be a lot of theater kids in our midst, whether or not they actually want to admit it. I mean, do you think I'm right about that?
I agree. I think you're right.
All right, well, that's all the time we have. From all the theater kids here at NNN, I'm Lance Wilhelm.
And I'm Lena Peterson. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful evening. Good night.